Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Carrie Dillon. We are joined by Jim Keith from Keith Funeral Services. Always good to catch up with you.
Same with you, Carrie. Same with you.
You know, you bring such a gentle approach to this subject that is so hard for people to talk about, you know, but so necessary. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you.
New Year's resolutions. Now, one wouldn't necessarily think that those two things coincide, but you've been busy with this.
But it does. January and February, my number one month for making pre-arrangements, because people say, hey, I have to get this done.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of the things that they put on their bucket list, for lack of a better word, and it's important to get done, and we do a lot of it.
What a great way to start the year.
Well, maybe. It depends on your perspective. I mean, you know, nobody wants to talk about their funerals. No one wants to call a funeral home.
Well, it's definitely not a New Year's resolution to end up having that moment for yourself anyway, but, you know, I think it can help us, you know, Covey, think with the end in mind. Right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, we do a lot of it, and some people prepay and some people don't, but we give them options. You can start with $500 down if you wanted to, and it isn't that much money. Everybody cremates anymore.
Gotcha.
So, you know, it isn't that expensive, but it helps take maybe the burden off the kids. You know, down the road, the burden that people think it's going to be, and we try to make it as easy as possible.
Sure.
If I just mail you something in the mail, fill it out, send it back, and then we have a couple conversations on the phone, and maybe that helps you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's kind of the plan, but it can include the prepaid arrangements?
If they want, sure. Not everybody needs to prepay. It's good for some people if you're going to be going into something like a Medicaid situation, or you're going to run out of money because people live longer. Then it's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
If you've got a ton of money in the bank and you have a big life insurance policy,
and nothing to worry about.
No, you're not going to worry about it. But at least let the family know what you want. Write down what you want.
I was just going to say, now, is that something you walk somebody through? Because, you know, you can think of maybe a couple of things, but do you sort of just sit with them, and how do you figure that out?
Well, it's real easy. I mean, first thing you do is you get the vital statistic information that everybody has to give you, because at some point we're going to have to file a death certificate. And then we say, are you going to bury or are you going to cremate? All right, are you going to have a service or not? If you're going to bury, which cemetery? Then we look at which casket and which vault. And I always tell people, if you spend a bunch of money on a casket, you're mad at your money, you're mad at your kids. You know, they all really do about the same. So,
that's such a good point.
It is a good point.
It's such a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, why?
I know. Why? That's the question. You just the perfect question. Why?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, are you seeing any trends with what families want to do? Are they including their families with these meetings? Or?
Yeah. Well, down here, you know, you have a lot of older population.
Yeah, retirees.
And the kids maybe don't live around here, but they come and visit. And so what I get is I get a lot of these people maybe in their 70s or 80s, even 90s, and their kids are down from Michigan or Pennsylvania or, God forbid, Ohio.
And, capital of Hilton.
Yeah, I know, capital of Hilton. But then they call and say, hey, can we come over and just talk while I'm here and just make sure we're all on the same page? And I said, absolutely. And thing is, I do it, Carrie, I do it whether it's at night or weekends, holidays.
You do. You're always so accessible to people.
Exactly. And I answer the phone every time. You don't get an answering service when you call me. So.
That really means a lot.
Yeah.
You know, because it's something that, you know, in my experience with it, with the loss of my dad, I mean, I was so surprised at how integral the funeral services company was, and how healing the whole experience was. They just helped us walk through something that was really hard to do.
Yeah, it is hard to do. It's hard to do when you have a lot of emotion, and you can't, you know, you can't pre-plan grief. What you can do is you can pre-plan some of the technical things that really can just boggle your mind.
It's like a safety harness,
sometimes.
you know, the things that you do when you can't see straight. It's good to have these things in place.
Sure.
Yeah, to get you through it.
Yeah.
Are most people having ceremonies here, or are they just planning here, or?
Well, the people that live here usually
want to have it done here.
Yeah, they're having it done here. Usually at my place or a church, or if they're larger, maybe at a golf club or something like that. But yeah.
Well, it's always so good to have you,
Good
Jim
to be
Keith.
here, Carrie.
And you know, just give you all a call.
Yeah,
and just
give me a call.
let's get this plan done. Let's get it out of the way. It's still kind of a new year.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's get it done. Good to have you with us.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Talk of the Town.